And Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. But Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but you know, it takes two to tango, right? When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be. We're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway, because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, you know, Buckingham Palace, that you visited as well. Having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
But never say never. Never say never.
Just said that Canada's not for sale. Does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say never say never. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know what I'm talking about. But so, you know, we ended that relationship pretty much. USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. If respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly, we are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have it.
No, you done fucked up, don't you? No, it don't. No, you done fucked up.
Tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here to have
Bianca, you didn't like what I said? Oh, what you're gonna look at me like that? You better do something, but you're not gonna do anything. No, you're not gonna do anything.
Oh my God! Enough! Damn it! Lift up! The conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation. But we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that. I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're not gonna, that's not a money thing, but we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very
Thank you. So does that mean there won't be any sanctions on the UK then?
We'll have to take a look. I mean, we're going to have a good discussion today, and we have some very talented people on the other side, and we have some people that probably aren't as talented as them, but they're pretty good. Marco, what do you think?
Our people are pretty good. And no, we're going to have a good discussion, and we'll be talking about that.
Mr. President.
They get their money back by giving money. We don't get the money back. Biden made a deal. He put in $350 billion. And I thought it was a very unfair situation.
The Europeans want Ukraine to be part of NATO as part of this deal. Are you willing to budge on that at all, or is it a firm?
Well, I could be very nice and say, oh, well, we'll work to it. Look, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. That's what started this whole thing.
Just to follow up on that, if British troops are in Ukraine keeping the peace and get attacked by Russia, will you come to their aid?
If the British people are in Ukraine and they get attacked,
If British soldiers
you know, I've always found about the British, they don't need much help. They can take care of themselves very well. You know what? No, have been incredible soldiers, incredible military, and they can take care of themselves. But if they need help, I'll always be with the British, okay? I'll always be with them. But they don't need help.
We have. I'm very proud of our country. And but we've also always been there. We have. I'm very proud of our country. And we're...
No, you're not fucked up, Tom. No, it doesn't.
Each other up.
No, you're not fucked
between our two countries. That is why this is the greatest alliance for prosperity and security I think the world has ever seen. Whenever necessary, we've absolutely backed each other up, and that's at the
Could
core
you take on Russia by yourselves?
Well...
Can I... I'm just messing with you, man. You can do whatever you want. I was just kidding you. Why are you so serious?
Yes, ma'am.
In his remarks at the Munich Security Conference, Vice President Vance condemned free speech violations in the UK. Particularly, could you respond? What is your message?
I have an idea. We have the man right here. Come on. Let's go, JD. We're putting you on stage.
Great. Yeah, look, I said what I said.
Bitch, I said what I said.
We do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension, American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's a great honor to be with the President of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, and he is a man who is certainly in some circles really respected, other circles a little bit less respected. Like some circles he's considered a little controversial, but we're going to be discussing some of the things that are taking place in South Africa and see if we can help, and we want to help.
Also like to thank you for allowing your people to start discussions with us at the trade level. I mean, we are essentially here to reset the relationship between the United States and South Africa, particularly in the light of some of the announcements that you made on trade and investment. So we want to advance more trade between the two of us. Now have been empowered by yourself and by myself to start engaging, and we hope that we will be able to fuel that engagement during how we promote further investments in both countries. We've got 22 companies from South Africa that have invested in the US, thus creating a number of jobs that have invested in South Africa, and some of them have been in South Africa for more than 100 years of issues, geopolitical, the work that you're doing to bring peace around the world, Ukraine and in the Middle East. So we value that, and we are also a great contributor economy, peace process. We rely on each other on a number of issues. We've got critical minerals that you want to fuel the growth of your own economy and reindustrialize. So we have that on offer. Years ago as during the COVID period. And it was at a time when the whole world was going through a really cathartic moment. And we asked for assistance, and you were able to assist us with respirators to us. We didn't have as many in our country, and it really helped to help us deal with COVID. So I'm here also to say thank you and to thank the people of America for having helped us during
A lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. but we have many people that feel they're being persecuted and they're coming to the United States. So we take
from us or the quiet table. It will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture.
We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and I have to, it has to be respected. Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down, and just put this on, it's right behind you, Johan.
If they object, they can seek refugee in America.
This is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up. Those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march. They had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
Well, let me clarify that.
Yeah,
let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now been utilizing...
The farmers are not black. I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black.
But coming back to this issue, which I really would like us to talk about, and talk about it very calmly. We were taught by Nelson Mandela that whenever there are problems, people need to sit down around a table and talk about it.
Well,
and this is precisely, you are a partner of South Africa, and you are raising concerns, and these are concerns that we are willing to talk to you. Partnership is all about, and we are here as a partner so that we can help each other whenever there are challenges. So I'd like us to discuss it, and of course outside of the media, so that we sit down and have a really good discussion that will lead to good outcomes.
Are there any other further punitive measures that could be in place should you not be satisfied that South Africa is fixing some of the very bad things, in inverted commas, that you tweeted are happening?
Well, there are a lot of bad things happening in many countries, but this in particular has been very, very bad, and because of we have hundreds of people, thousands of people trying to come into our country because they feel they're going to be killed and their land is going to be confiscated. And you do have laws that were passed that gives you the right to confiscate land for no payment. You can take away land for no payment.
I want to clarify that, because we do say, because we've got to deal with the past. The government, and as your government also has the right to expropriate land for public use.
And they're doing that.
And we've never really gotten underway with that. And we are going to be doing so.
You're taking people's land away
we have not.
From them. And those people in many cases are being executed. They happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that. How do you explain that?
What can South Africa do? What concessions would you like to see them make to improve relations with the United States?
I have many friends from South Africa, but many of those friends are not, they can't go back. I have, for their own safety. Their land is being confiscated, and in many cases they're being killed. And that scene of, you see how many crosses they have. Those crosses, that's a dead person in every
Brian, if I could just ask you a question. 72% of farmers in your country are white. If they flee, do you feel that maybe the economy could collapse? You may not have a gap to fill in those people that need to replace them.
I'm a Minister of Agriculture who is white, who comes from an opposition party to mine, who who's joined my government at my invitation to address this very issue, including the question that you've just raised. John?
Thank you very much for saying we have a rural safety problem in South Africa. I don't think anyone wants to candy coat that. And it requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. Particularly stock theft has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. Now the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. And that is why after 30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor in Parliament and trying to get one over on each other, we've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government. Because the day they get in to the doors of the union buildings in South Africa or control of our Parliament, that's what you're going to see. That is why this government, working together, needs the support of our allies around the world so that we can strengthen our hand, grow our economy, and shut the door forever on that rabble getting through the doors of the union bodies, because then South Africa's future would be...
So you denounced that type of language in the video that you saw?
Oh yes, we've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that.
It's got to be resolved. It should be resolved. It's a little bit bad when you see a stadium with 100,000 people in it, because that means it's more than just a little movement. It's a pretty big movement in South Africa. So it has to be resolved. It'll be the end of the country if it's not resolved.
It's been 35 years since the transition. President Ramaphosa was right in the middle of the transition time in 1990, and before that, we grew up in the apartheid era. I don't think two wrongs makes a right. President Mandela, when he came out of prison for all that time, didn't come out with hatred. Unified our nation through sport. We won the Rugby World Cup in 95.
4 times.
We won the African Nations Cup, soccer. We won some majors as golfers and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, this has been a long time coming. That's why we really wanted to meet you, meet the administration, and see our way forward, because we still want to see our country flourish. We've got some great things going on. Business is getting involved with government. Coexistence going on in health from a lot of areas. But I feel we need the US to push this thing through, the change we need.
Where did you do that right?
You will see I'm the biggest target of that rabble rouser. Number one for over 10 years. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman. And look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. Not only white farmers, it's across the board. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York could be what it became. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens. Stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, firstly it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that develops. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33, whatever these guys.
Support is really an investment. We've got to grow our economy, because through growing the economy, we're then able to create more jobs. Because crime really thrives where there is inequality and unemployment. That is one of the reasons that has brought us here, to improve our investment relations, our trade relations, so that we can preserve the number of jobs that your companies have created in South Africa. By virtue of what we export to you, we are able to create up to 500,000 jobs in the auto industry, in the agricultural industry, and a number of other industries, mining, where we export things to you. And as South African companies invest here, you are also able to create jobs. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So our main real reason for being here is to foster trade and investment, so that we are able to grow our economy, also able to address all these societal problems, because criminality thrives when people are unemployed, when they have no other hope to eke out a living. So that is what we need to resolve, and your support, your partnership with us is what is really going to give us a strong capability to move forward.
So it is difficult, but you know, the guys live a great life despite everything going on.
Along the president of the largest trade union in our country, Ziggy Solosi, because she leads many workers, more than 1 million, 2 million workers, and maybe we should give her a chance to say something, because she's come all the way.
Correctly, as they have said, that we need to deal with the issue of porous borders in our country, so that everyone that comes in is documented. And the problem in South Africa, it is not necessarily about race, but it is about crime. And we think that we are here to say, how do we, both nations, work together to reset, to really talk about investment, but also help us in how we can have the technology and everything that is needed, President, to really address the levels of crime that we have in our country. Thank you.
I've said, when I initially spoke to President Trump on the phone, I want him to come to South Africa for a state visit, and I also want him to come and participate in the G20. And I want to gladly hand over to President Trump to take the leadership of the G20 forward in November.